Have you ever tried to set up a retirement account, looked at the options for a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA, and immediately felt like you were reading another language? You are not alone. Taxes are confusing, and the financial industry loves to make things sound more complicated than they actually are. If you search online, you will probably hear people shouting that the Roth IRA is the ultimate wealth-building tool and that you'd be crazy to use anything else because the growth is completely tax-free. But is that actually true? Today, we are going completely back to basics. No confusing jargon, just pure, simple math. We are going to look at exactly how these two accounts work, and I'm going to show you a mathematical trap that most beginners fall completely blind into. Let's imagine two everyday people, Timmy and Rosie. They both make a salary of $60,000 a year. They both have the exact same goal. They want to take $6,000 of the money they earned this year and invest it for their retirement. To keep the math super simple for our example, let's pretend the government takes a flat 20% in taxes from everything they make. Timmy decides to use a traditional IRA. A traditional IRA is what we call a pre-tax account. This simply means you get a tax break today. When Timmy tells the government, "Hey, I'm putting $6,000 into my traditional IRA," the government says, "Great. We will pretend you didn't even earn that $6,000 this year." So Timmy gets to put his entire untouched $6,000 straight into his investment account. The tax monster stays asleep. Rosie, on the other hand, chooses a Roth IRA. A Roth IRA is an after-tax account. There is no tax break today. When Rosie gets her paycheck, the government immediately steps in and takes its 20% cut. 20% of her $6,000 is $1,200. The tax monster eats that $1,200 right out of her hands. So Rosie is only left with $4,800 to actually put into her Roth IRA. Right from day one, Timmy has $6,000 working for him, and Rosie only has $4,800. Now let's fast forward 30 years. Both of them invested their money in the exact same things, earning an average return of 8% every year. This is where the magic of compound interest happens. Your money makes money, and then that new money makes even more money. Because Timmy started with a bigger pile of money every year, his account has grown into a massive mountain of cash. He has just under $680,000. Rosie's account grew wonderfully too, but because she started with less money after paying those upfront taxes, she only has about $544,000. If you stop the clock right here, it looks like Timmy completely crushed her. He has over $130,000 more than she does. But this is the illusion. This is the trap that catches so many beginners. You haven't seen what happens when they actually try to spend that money. It is time to retire. They are both 65 years old and they want to crack open their piggy banks. Now, the rules completely flip. Rosie steps up to her Roth IRA. Because she already paid her taxes 30 years ago when she was just starting out, the government is not allowed to touch this money. It is legally shielded. It is 100% tax-free. Rosie gets to pull out her money and keep her exact total, $544,000. Now Timmy steps up to his massive $680,000 traditional IRA. Remember, Timmy never paid taxes on this money. He got a deduction in his 20s, and that money has been hiding from the tax monster for 3 decades. But now that he's taking it out to spend it, the government finally wants its cut. Let's assume Timmy is still in that exact same 20% tax bracket. The tax monster takes a 20% bite out of his entire massive mountain of money, and 20% of $680,000 is a whopping $136,000 in taxes. When you subtract that tax bill from Timmy's total, he is left with exactly $544,000. It is a mathematical tie. If your tax rate when you put the money in is the exact same as your tax rate when you pull the money out, neither account is mathematically better. They result in the exact same amount of spending money in your pocket. So if it's a tie, how on earth do you choose? Well, the tie only happens if your tax rate stays exactly the same. The real secret to choosing between a Roth and a traditional IRA is guessing whether your taxes will be higher or lower in the future. But wait, how do you even know what your tax rate will be when you retire? A huge misconception for beginners is thinking that your retirement tax rate is permanently locked to whatever your highest salary was when you were working. That is completely false. When you retire, your old salary vanishes. It doesn't matter if you used to make $50,000 or $500,000. In retirement, the government essentially looks at an empty bucket. Every time you pull money out of your traditional IRA to buy groceries or pay rent, you drop that money into the bucket. If you get Social Security, some of that goes in the bucket. If you have a part-time job or rental property, that goes in the bucket. The government looks at how full that bucket gets by December 31st, and that is what determines your tax bracket. It's based on what you withdraw to live on, not the total amount sitting in your account. Knowing this, let's look at the 3 real-world scenarios that break the mathematical tie. Scenario 1, the frugal retiree. Let's say when you retire, your house is completely paid off. You don't have to commute and your kids are grown. You simply don't need a $60,000 salary to live comfortably anymore. You only pull out $40,000 a year from your accounts to live a great life. Because you are pulling out less income, you drop into a lower tax bracket, say 10%. In this scenario, you took a massive tax break while you were working, and taxes were high, and you are paying the taxes later when your rate is super low. Here, the traditional IRA wins. Scenario 2, the career climber. Let's say you are 22 years old, working an entry-level job, making very little money. Your taxes are incredibly low right now. But you know that in 20 years you are going to be a high-earning manager, or you simply believe the government is going to raise tax rates across the board to pay off national debt. By the time you retire, your tax bracket might skyrocket to 30%. In this scenario, you want to pay your taxes right now while they are cheap and shield your money for the future. Here, the Roth IRA wins. Scenario 3, the state relocator. This is a fun one. Where you live matters because state governments want your money too. Let's say you spend your career working in a high-tax state like New York or California. You use a traditional IRA, which gives you a huge deduction and saves you a fortune in state taxes today. Then when you turn 65, you pack your bags and move to a sunny state with zero income tax like Florida or Nevada. By doing this, you legally delete those state taxes from the equation entirely. You got the tax break in New York, but you pull the money out tax-free in Florida. Traditional wins big. On the flip side, if you work your whole life in a state with no income tax like Texas, but you dream of retiring on the beaches of Hawaii where taxes are high, a Roth IRA is your best friend. It acts as a shield, protecting your retirement money from your new state's high taxes. So let's bring it all home with the golden rule of retirement accounts. You don't need to be a Wall Street expert to make this choice. You just need to ask yourself one question. Compared to right now, will my taxes be higher or lower when I retire? If you expect to be in a lower tax bracket later because you'll need less income, or you plan to move to a cheaper state, lean toward the traditional IRA. If you expect to be in a higher tax bracket later because you are young and your income will grow, or you think the government will raise taxes, lean toward the Roth IRA. And if you honestly have no idea, you can always split your money down the middle and do a little bit of both. Hopefully this cleared up the confusion and showed you the real math behind your money.
If you enjoyed this video and want simple explanations of finance concepts, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And let me know in the comments, are you investing in a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA?